Hey, General Hospital fans. We have got some absolutely wild spoilers dropping right now about a high-profile arrest that Chase makes this week. And honestly, the identity of who he is slapping cuffs on is going to send shockwaves through multiple households, multiple storylines, and possibly Chase's entire career and marriage all at once. It is your girl here, and we're going to dig into every layer of this mess. What Tracy does to push Chase completely over the edge, whether any charges are actually going to hold up, and how this one arrest could be the match that blows up Chase and Brooklyn's entire relationship. And before we get into all of this gloriously chaotic family drama, please hit that subscribe button if you are not already following us, because you do not want to be the last one to know when things go sideways in Port Charles. All right, let's get into it. So, all week long we have been sitting here spinning our wheels trying to figure out who exactly Chase is going to arrest in this high-profile caller the spoilers have been teasing. And look, I have to be honest with you, there are so many active storylines right now with arrest potential baked right into them that narrowing it down has been genuinely difficult. General Hospital has set up about 4 different situations where somebody could plausibly end up in handcuffs, and the show has been very cagey about which one it is going to be. So let's work through the options one by one, because I think it is important to understand why certain people are probably not the answer before we get to who I actually think is. First, let's talk about Jen Sidwell. Now, Sidwell was already arrested for shooting Lucas Jones, or trying to anyway, since Lucas was wearing a bulletproof vest at the time and survived. But here is the thing. Nathan did not actually bring Sidwell in like a proper law enforcement officer should have. Instead, he stopped along the way, staged an escape, and let Sidwell pistol whip him to make the whole thing look like some kind of attack by outside thugs. The whole setup was designed so that Nathan could claim he was ambushed and overwhelmed, which is deeply ironic given that Nathan himself is one of Sidwell's people. So Sidwell got away. Sidwell is now in hiding, and the chances of Chase rearresting Sidwell before the end of the week are basically zero. The pieces are not in place for that. So we can take Sidwell off the board. Second option that everyone and their mother has been hoping for, Willow Tate. And look, I understand the enthusiasm, because Willow has been absolutely wild lately. She drugged Drew Kane. She has been holding him prisoner in her own way, controlling him, manipulating him, maintaining a level of coercive control over her husband that is frankly textbook domestic abuse. And people want to see her face consequences for it. The problem is timing. Jack Brennan just offered Willow a deal, give her the evidence that Drew misused campaign funds, and suddenly Drew himself is facing potential exposure. So the whole Willow-Drew situation just got a lot more complicated in the last few days, and that complexity makes it feel way too premature for Willow to be arrested right now. The show is not done cooking that storyline. There are more layers to peel back before anyone is getting charged. So, as satisfying as it would be to see Willow in handcuffs, and believe me, I want that scene, I do not think this is the week for it. Third option, the Dr. Isaiah situation tied to Jordan's car accident. Now, if you have been following along, the whole Jordan storyline is a complete mess in the best possible soap opera way. Jordan was injured in a crash, and Curtis has been pointing fingers at the doctor, trying to blame him for running Jordan off the road. But we all know, that Jordan was driving down a dark, winding road at night and took her eyes completely off the road to make out with Curtis, which is honestly one of the most soap opera things that has ever happened on this show, and it led to her driving into oncoming traffic. Curtis does not want to own his role in that, so he is out here trying to pin responsibility on an innocent man. The problem with that theory is that there is just not enough evidence to arrest the doctor. Curtis already got cuffed himself at one point, and the whole thing feels like it is in a different narrative gear right now. So, I am not counting on that being the arrest either. Then there is the Brooklyn angle. And this one is interesting because Brooklyn has been actively conspiring with Lucy Coe to make it look like Willow was the other driver involved in Jordan's accident, which is its own whole level of chaotic scheming because Brooklyn herself was actually the other driver. She was there. She just was not at fault and did not come forward. And now, instead of simply being honest about it, she is trying to frame her husband's close friend for something Brooklyn technically did. That is a bold strategy, and not in a good way. But again, would there be enough to actually get Willow arrested based on whatever Brooklyn and Lucy cobble together? I seriously doubt it. Those two are not exactly a crack evidence-gathering team, and a charge that falls apart that quickly is not going to give us the dramatic arrest moment the spoilers are building toward. And yes, before anyone asks, I would love to see Cyrus Renaud in handcuffs. Nothing would give me more joy. But there is simply not enough runway between now and Friday for anyone to build a case that sticks on Cyrus, so we can park that wish for another week. So, who does that leave us with? I think it is Tracy Quartermaine. And I want to explain exactly why I think that and why I think this particular arrest is going to be messy and complicated in all the right ways. Here is what the official General Hospital spoilers are telling us for Friday. 3 specific tidbits all connect to this storyline. The first says Tracy has harsh words for Willow. The second says Brooklyn goes to Sunny for help. And the third confirms that Chase makes his high-profile arrest. Now, taken together, those 3 spoilers paint a very specific picture. Tracy is going in hard on Willow. Brooklyn is scared enough about the fallout that she is running to Sunny. And Chase is arresting somebody. The through line connecting all 3 of those spoilers is Tracy Quartermaine completely losing control and doing something Chase cannot look away from as a police officer. And here's the thing, it sounds like Tracy goes way beyond harsh words. The leak we are working with suggests that Tracy actually physically grabs Willow. We're talking about Tracy getting in Willow's face down by the boathouse on the Quartermaine property, that lakeside setting that General Hospital has been using really beautifully lately, and it escalates from screaming to actual physical contact. Tracy grabs Willow and starts shaking her. And Willow looks genuinely frightened in the clip, which tells you this is not a casual soap opera spat. This is Tracy going full unhinged Quartermaine matriarch on a sitting congresswoman. Now, if Chase witnesses that, and I think he does, I think the positioning of all of this is deliberate, then he does not have a choice. He is a cop. He sees an assault happening. He cannot just stand there and watch Tracy manhandle Willow regardless of how he personally feels about any of these people. He has to act. And so he does. He arrests Tracy on the spot. But here is what makes this arrest so much messier than a standard police action. Chase is not just a cop who happened to be in the right place at the right time. He is Tracy's tenant, essentially. He and Brooklyn live on Quartermaine property that Tracy owns. He has a personal history and relationship with this woman. And beyond that, Tracy has been accusing Chase of cheating with Willow all week. She's been feeding that suspicion to Brooklyn's ear, making things uncomfortable and contentious in their marriage over something that is completely untrue. Chase did not cheat. Chase is not cheating. But Chase is also furious about being falsely accused, furious about those accusations getting back to Brooklyn, and now he is watching the woman who slandered him assault the woman he allegedly cheated with. It is a lot of layers, all exploding at once. So when Chase slaps the cuffs on Tracy, is it purely professional? Probably mostly. But is there a part of him that is also just completely done with Tracy's escalating behavior? Absolutely. And honestly, who could blame him? Tracy has been getting more aggressive by the day. She told Chase to pack his bags and get out of her house. She has been stirring the pot in his marriage. And now she is out here physically assaulting a member of Congress on Quartermaine property. At some point you have to draw a line. Now, the aftermath of this arrest is where things get really interesting. The spoilers have DA Justine Turner ripping into Chase on Friday, and I mean really going at him, telling him that if he puts one single toe out of line, he is done. Gone. His career is over. And that threat is significant because it tells us that arresting Tracy has real professional consequences for Chase. It is not a clean, uncomplicated collar. The Quartermaine name carries weight in Port Charles, and DA Turner is clearly feeling pressure from somewhere above her. Now, technically Chase does not answer to Justine. His chain of command runs through Police Commissioner Dante Falconeri. But here is the delicious complication in all of that. Dante also lives on the Quartermaine estate. So you have 2 police officers, both tied to the property, both in professional and personal entanglement with the woman one of them just arrested. It is a logistical and ethical nightmare. And I think this is going to push Chase to a decision he has probably been thinking about for a while now. He is going to want to move. Not just off the Quartermaine property, but away from the whole web of obligation and loyalty and Tracy's increasing volatility. Take Brooklyn, take baby Phoebe, and find somewhere that is actually their home, not borrowed space in someone else's orbit. Because as long as they are living under Tracy's roof, literally, Chase and Brooklyn are always going to be vulnerable to Tracy's moods and meddling. And those moods are not getting more stable. They are getting wilder. Now, let's talk about Brooklyn for a minute, because her role in Friday's episode is really telling. The spoiler says she goes to Sunny for help. And my read on that is she is not going to Sunny for comfort or for legal advice. She is going to Sunny because she wants help building a case against Willow. She wants muscle behind the scheme she and Lucy have been cooking up, the plan to make Willow look like the other driver in Jordan's accident. And she is hoping Sunny has resources or connections or leverage that she and Lucy do not have on their own. Here is why I think Sunny says no, or at least pumps the brakes. Sunny has been down this road with his own son Michael. Michael spent a significant amount of energy on anti-Willow plotting, and Sunny kept pulling him back, telling him to have faith, telling him that this kind of scheming always backfires. And Sunny was not entirely wrong about that. So when Brooklyn shows up with essentially the same pitch, help me destroy Willow's credibility, I think Sunny's immediate instinct is to tell her the same thing he told Michael. Trust your husband. Do not do this. Walk away from it. Whether Brooklyn listens is another question entirely. Because Brooklyn is not someone who backs down easily when she feels threatened. And right now she feels very threatened. She sees Willow sniffing around Chase. She is watching Tracy validate her worst fears by screaming about it in public, and she is scared. Scared people make bad decisions on soap operas. That is basically a law of the genre. And here is the thing that is going to cause the biggest long-term damage to Chase and Brooklyn's marriage, not the false cheating accusation, not even Tracy's arrest. It is going to be when Chase finds out the full scope of what Brooklyn has been doing. Because Chase is eventually going to learn that Brooklyn was the other driver in Jordan's accident. He is going to find out that she never came forward. And then he is going to find out that not only did she stay quiet, she actively tried to pin the whole thing on Willow. That is 3 separate revelations stacked on top of each other, and any one of them alone would shake a marriage. All 3 together? That is a different conversation entirely. Chase is going to be upset for very specific reasons, and I want to walk through them because I think this is actually where the storytelling gets nuanced. First, he is going to feel like a fool for defending Willow as this pure, untouchable figure because his image of Willow does not match the actual Willow who drugs her husband and plays political games. He has her on a pedestal, and that pedestal is going to crack. Second, he is going to be genuinely troubled by the fact that Brooklyn was at the accident scene, was not at fault, but chose silence over transparency. Even if she did nothing wrong legally, that silence is a problem for a man who values honesty above most things. And third, the active framing of Willow for something Brooklyn did herself. Chase is a police officer. He has spent his entire career on the right side of justice. Asking him to process that his wife participated in fabricating evidence against someone, even someone Chase is not fond of, is asking a lot. It may simply be too much. I want to circle back to the Tracy arrest for a second because I think it is worth talking about how this plays out beyond just Friday's episode. Tracy has been arrested by the PCPD before. This is not uncharted territory for her. She knows how the process works, she has been through it, and she is not going to be quietly cooperative. She is going to pitch an absolute fit. She is going to demand to speak to Dante. She is probably going to demand to speak to the mayor. She is going to call in every favor and every family connection she has to make Chase's life difficult. And I would be very surprised if she does not put pressure on both Dante and Justine to move against Chase professionally. But here is the practical and kind of hilarious problem with Tracy assaulting Willow specifically. Willow is not just any citizen. She is a sitting member of Congress. That means she almost certainly had security with her. And if she had security present at the boathouse, those agents would have intervened the moment Tracy grabbed her. So either Tracy moves so fast that security is caught off guard, or the scene plays slightly differently than the physical description we have. Either way, the optics of grabbing a congresswoman on your own property are not good, Tracy. That is going to follow her. Honestly though, despite all the complications and the professional fallout and the marriage implications, I am so ready for this episode. The image of Tracy shaking Willow like she is trying to get the last drops out of a ketchup bottle is genuinely something I did not know I needed until right now. And Chase snapping and putting Tracy in handcuffs in response is going to be a scene that the Quartermaine fanbase will be talking about for weeks. General Hospital has been building towards something explosive all week, and this feels like the payoff we deserve. I want Tracy losing her composure completely. I want Chase making the call in real time, badge and professional obligation overriding every personal relationship in the room. I want Brooklyn watching this happen and realizing that the situation is so far beyond anything she can control that even Sunny might not be able to help her put it back together. Give us the chaos. Give us the mess. Give us all of it. That is everything we have got from the spoilers right now, but stay close because as more details come out about how this arrest plays out and what the fallout looks like heading into next week, we will have full coverage and breakdown for you. Thank you so much for being a loyal listener and for writing these storylines with us every single week. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts because you absolutely do not want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.
See you next time.